Yeah. So what would be the greatest way that I could experience this unlimitedness that I pray about every day?
Yeah, just enjoy it, my dear friend. You see, you can't put it in a bottle, and you can't give it a name. Ultimately, part of the plan as you grow into greater and greater love is as you are on a quest for love. Suddenly, you become that, and no longer are you seeking it, but you're just the full expression of it.
Well, welcome to the I Bring Water Show. I'm your host, Michael Mason. Today we have a special guest, Summer Bacon. Summer, thank you again for being on the show.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me. I'm super excited.
Yeah, well, it's interesting because I really didn't expect this at all, like whatsoever. I was just like, I've taken a break in my hiatus. Like, again, like I mentioned on my other, my last podcast. Like I'm super, I'm a recluse, if you will, and I only come out whenever I feel like I want to, and that's fine because I'm finding a way to kind of create life on my own terms. And so, like I told the audience, when I did a private session with you and Dr. Peebles a few weeks back, like right before that recording, it just came. It was like, you need to share this with the public. And so, like, I got all of the kind of the information around that. In fact, during the conversation with Dr. Peebles, he said that my creativity and my awakening was like an explosion. And he said that I'm a 360-degree listener. And so, and to his point, he's right. Like, when I got it, like, I get the whole thing. Like, when you get the packets of, like, this is what you do. Boom, there you go. And so I got it like right before the call, and then of course, to my great surprise, you got on YouTube and watched the session, and I was completely blown away by the fact that you said that you had never listened to a private session in 30 years that you've been doing this work, or
yeah, only portions. Maybe when somebody said, would you listen to this part of my session or that sort of thing, but no, I never it'll be 31 years on December 4th of this year, and I've never they're private sessions. They're private, so I don't listen to them.
Right. No, I get that, and I'm sure there's for most of the folks who have taken part in your work and being given the gift of your work, for them it is very much a private journey. It just so happens that somebody like me, my work in the world is to be a mirror of possibilities, and therefore as I am unfolding my own individual path, my work is to share it with others so that they can have an opportunity to maybe contemplate on their own relationship with self and God and love and truth as a reflection of my own sharing and my own vulnerability. So,
yeah, I am so, I can't tell you how excited I am about this. I think this is one of the best things that has ever happened, because for people to have the opportunity to see your growth, and it was like a 10-year span from the first session to the second one?
So 2010 and then 15 years.
Oh, 15 years. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's going to be so mind-blowing to watch the evolution of you during that time period, and the way that Dr. Peebles works with somebody is so unique and so extraordinary, because he doesn't give you all the answers. He gives you guidance, and he takes the finger that we point out at the rest of the world saying, wait, how do I fix this? And he goes, you fix it by pointing your finger back at yourself. You go and do the inside work. And so when I heard that first session, I'm so excited to hear the second one. I have not listened to that. But the first one was just so extraordinary and so beautiful, and you were so vulnerable, and your questions were so good and so interesting, and I think really pertained to so many people. And so I'm super excited about it, and I'm just thank you so much for your vulnerability and your willingness to surrender to that. I mean, it's not easy sometimes to put yourself out there the way that you're doing in such a vulnerable fashion. But it's so helpful to other people to actually see that happening to somebody else and saying, oh, I identify with that. I get it, Yeah. And they could be doing completely different things with their life. But at the core of our being, we're looking for the same things, such as to love and be loved and to grow and to feel some kind of connection with the universe or the world or our spouse or whatever it might be,
Right.
So,
yeah, absolutely. Thank you. And I thank you for your feedback on that. And yeah, it's been absolutely frightening to me. I'd spent so many years as a mystic surrendering my life to God and love and truth. And, when I found myself in a position where I was in an apartment alone after leaving the 16-year relationship, marriage and my kids, and I've got the universe blazing through my body. Like I'm moving through timelines of just pure God energy, and knowing that I needed to start like speaking or talking or even just trying to create a video, I was absolutely frightened. I was frightened of sitting in my house and ironing my clothes. I hadn't ironed clothes in a long time. I was sitting there ironing. I just can remember just how profoundly afraid I was, because I had opened up the Pandora's box of consciousness in my body. And when I looked in the mirror and I looked in my eyes, all I saw was God. And it was the most frightening and it was the scariest thing I'd ever experienced. It was the most traumatic thing that I'd ever experienced. And it lasted for quite a long time. And so, to fast forward, one of my notes I had for this show was like, there's something that I've noticed recently in myself, and the fact that I'm always in a hurry in my communication, and whether that's in the world or on video or in podcasts, it's like I always want to be in a hurry, because I think it's like a past life insecurity where it's like I feel like people aren't going to fully understand what I'm trying to communicate, so then therefore I try to hurry up, because I don't think that they're going to have the presence or the patience or the willingness or the curiosity to go, well, wait, what do you like? Are people really curious about the things that I'm saying, and are they curious about looking underneath the surface of things? And so I don't know why, but I feel like I just wanted to share this with people. Like, this is my journey of surrender. This is my journey of saying, look, I don't have to live in my intellect anymore. I don't have to be perfect. I don't have to say the perfect thing. I don't have to have all the answers. I don't have to be anything. I can just be love. I can be authentic. I can just be. And so through that expression of beingness, my hope is that obviously I experience the personal peace that I've been cultivating, and therefore as a mirror, I can help others maybe unlock some of the gears within them, that are blocking them.
Dr. Peebles would say, because I was kind of hearing them while you were talking, was that you do see everything that you're doing is perfect. It's always perfect. You're always saying the right thing. And in those moments where, somebody might be watching or listening and they might not get what you're saying, that's okay. That's their journey. They don't get it. That's fine. Mm-hmm. But it might awaken something in somebody that goes, I didn't even think of it like that before. I had no idea life could be like that. And then there's the others who have been sitting very privately with themselves, because we're so conditioned to not share speak our truth and share of our inner self unless it kind of matches the vibration of the society around us, because then that's safe. But so many people are living privately in this kind of like private hell of not being able to share their voice and not speak their truth and talk to their family members about what they believe, because their parents will say, oh, that's not appropriate, you shouldn't think that way. And it's like, how can you not think the way that you think or feel the way that you feel? You have to go through it and experience it and live it. And, and so many people are just suffering silently with it inside of themselves, saying, I wish I had somebody I could talk to. And I know that because of my work, because I've dealt with, not dealt with, but I've been with, magically and beautifully thousands of people in my career. And it's like, I am just blown away by how many people are they've lived their life, had the great job, the house, the kids, the cars, the things, done good works, humanitarian works, worked in soup kitchens, done all the things, and they're like, yeah, but I'm still not happy. Right. What's missing here? And it's like, they find out, they're missing that equation of life, and then they wake up and they start sharing, just like you discovered after 16-year marriage, and sitting there going, whoa, I am God, and look in the mirror and
scary.
Oh, yeah, it's scary. Who are you going to tell that to,
Sorry, yeah. That doesn't fit into the box of society, right? And you're exactly right. It's this manufactured piece, because we, as creative, spiritual, loving beings made from love itself, we are always wanting to harmonize. And so what we do in trying to harmonize our environment is we manufacture peace. And manufactured peace is different than authentic peace.
Yeah, exactly. It looks like peace, but something's a little fishy.
It looks like peace until you realize that you've been selling yourself down the river in order to sustain it.
Yeah, exactly. And going back to that you are God thing, this is something I've been thinking about a lot. Having been a born again Christian in my lifetime, it was, man, and I'm glad I got out of that. But my belief in Jesus and who he was as a man on the earth, beautiful man, incredible medium. I mean, he spoke to angels, he talked to God, he heard voices, he did all the things that mystics do. And I've been thinking about it lately because, the words, I am within you, you are within me, we are as one in God, coming out of his mouth. Let's say he's saying it to you, and then you could say it right back to him. I am within you, you are within me, we are as one in God. And you and I could say that to each other. We can just keep going around the world saying it to each other and realizing we are as one. And that means every single solitary person on the earth, not just the ones you like, Sure. We are as one, and we can't escape each other. We're completely, as Dr. Peebles says, we're in the same soup, so to speak.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's absolutely right. And that was my actual embodied experience, was that when we are operating from our intellect, it's a localized identity. And through that localized identity, we feel separate. We feel alone. And when we open ourselves up to the stream of consciousness that is all that is, then there is no differentiation. There is no box. There's no up, there's no down, there's no right, there's no left. There's just consciousness, and that is what we are. And then so my experience of that, all that is, and the melting of my identity, well, ultimately in integrating that energy, what I learned was that I could kind of essentially return to a realized identity, which is a higher identity that has the local and has the universal self embodied into one. And so my experience is in a lot of ways, the Trinity is the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Well, the Holy Spirit is all that is, and it's more of a feminine energy.
Yes.
And the Father is the actual realized identity of the mother and the child, if you will, the Holy Spirit and the individual ego. The child, again, is the one who's not awakened, where they think that they're separate, they think that they're alone, they think that they're just the ego. And that was my actual experience, not learned, taught, read, nothing. It was just in my body, holy shit, that's what this is. That's what's going on,
Yeah. And once, when people hear those words, they might be like, huh? But the thing is, with a lot of this stuff that mystics go through in that awakening, no one can take that from you. It's so true, it's so real, it's so tangible. And people think, it's just this airy-fairy kind of thing, woo-woo stuff. Right. And no, it's so tangible and so real, and you see it working in your life in the smallest of ways, in the largest of ways. It brings all of the mystery of the universe together, so that it's not so overwhelming, and you can make a cup of coffee and it becomes this profound experience, because you realize how connected it all is, like that cup of coffee, all the people and all the animals and all the things that were involved in the creation of this cup of coffee, including the cup that it's in, and it's such a beautiful thing to get that. And one time I hope I don't blather too much.
You could talk for 10 hours if you want. I'm pushing record.
Thank you. Yeah, the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit thing. This is Dr. Peebles' perspective. I'm just gonna that is so similar, much what like you were saying. I think it's just beautiful. He says the Father is the penetrating force of the universe. The Holy Spirit, even though in the church a lot they talk about the Holy Spirit as being masculine, he says it is feminine, and he says that the Holy Spirit is like the womb, and then the Son is actually the combination of the pure divine feminine and divine male within one being. And so that's the way that Dr. Peebles has mentioned it, and it sounds very similar to what you were talking about as well.
Yeah, that's perfect. Yeah, and that provides the mother-father dynamic of God when you speak of when I used to always pray and it was mother-father because I understood that on a fundamental level. Just it came from my unconscious or from my past lives or just where my spirit was evolved coming into this life. And so yeah, in a lot of ways we are always that child, and that child is fundamentally if that child is the divine masculine and feminine, the realized self, very much in the same way of what I was saying. Because to what you were saying, from his perspective, he's exactly right in the sense that even the realized individual can't live in that father energy, that realize, because that is just a reflection of something larger. And so part of awakening or enlightenment or embodiment or whatever you want to call it, you're always going to be a paradox. And part of that paradox is you're as uniquely divine as you are uniquely human. And so the perfection is, like he was saying to you right now when I was talking, the perfection is no longer judging ourselves so that we are allowed to be fully human 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. We get to move on our feeling consciousness. And kind of what you're saying in relationship with the coffee is when you come to a space of you're living in such a space of gratitude and reverence, it's because you're coming from that space of feeling consciousness. When you're fully connected with the Father, Mother, the Holy Spirit, you're connected with that energy of love of your essence, of what you are. And so everything you do, there's just this great appreciation for. There's this great connection with. You're not living from your brain. You're not judging. You're not separating. You're being. And Dr. Peebles has said that a lot in the sessions that he's been doing through you over the last handful of years. We're not human doings, we're human beings, and we need to continue to remind ourselves that it's the beingness where the gifts are, because that's where we can move from the self-judgment into the actual embodiment of what we are as love. Yeah.
You make me think about my mom. My mom was such a beautiful person and so supportive of me and my work and everything. And she was just an extraordinary artist and loving, just a beautiful soul. And people would call her, and say, "Hey, Lisa, how are you doing? And what are you doing today?" And she said, "Oh, I'm just busy being."
I love it.
That's so great. Yeah.
No, that's great, because we were talking about that before the show, before we pushed record, and I was thinking of that conversation we were having about astrology and Dr. Peebles being born like one of the first few days of the Aries season, and then when he passed, he was in Pisces season, and then you were talking about how the death date has a lot to do with your future work in spirit. And then that reminded me of my father, who, when I had a visit with him one day, he was telling me these stories of how he would always remember when he would go to sleep that he was actually that was when he would study. So he would study on the other side when he was sleeping. And then when you said being about your mom, it reminded me of this idea of, my father being in the Navy. He met my mom in Coronado in San Diego, and he was in the Seabees. So he was a construction worker, and then became a roofer and all that. But anyway, it's interesting, just that whole idea, and you could share that if you don't mind. That is kind of an interesting topic, though.
Which part of it, though?
Oh, the astrological portion of how what.
Oh yeah, the afterlife and all of that.
Yeah, and in relationship to what you were saying about your mom. Yeah,
Right. Yeah. So So when my mom passed away in 2012, and before that, I had heard, I guess, or actually, I hadn't. My friend Kathy Hunter, she's an astrologer, and she found out from Dr. Peebles that if you do the astrology chart on the death day of a person, that will give you an idea of what they're doing on the other side, and because that's their birthday on the other side, and so she, unbeknownst to me, did a chart about my mom's death day, and one thing she didn't know was before my mom died, my mom, who was the artist and very creative and everything, very gypsy spirit, she said to me, she said, I wish I was more scientific. I wish I'd learned more about science and math and all those things. And I said, Mom, you're really incredibly smart. Don't worry about it. But she was so serious about it. And I thought, that's really sweet. And I said, well, maybe you can practice on the other side or something like that. And then when Kathy did the chart, she said, oh, and so it looks like your mom is studying science and math on the other side. And I was like, oh my gosh, it blew my mind. It was so amazing, just absolutely amazing. So yeah, it's pretty extraordinary. When my dad died, he died in 2021, and it was December. This might sound really callous, but it was not. This is my dad. My dad was a television director, and he wanted to direct everybody and everything, including his own death. It was like that was his personality. Wonderful man. He's my best friend, and I missed him so much. I miss him so much, but I do hear from him. But he was saying, here he's dying. I mean, he was dying. I'm giving him his, the morphine at the end to keep him comfortable. I'm not going to die until my birthday. And he just makes this pronouncement. And I said, your birthday's in May, Daddy. I said, I don't want to watch you suffer for 5 more months. And I said, so then I thought, oh God, what am I going to do, And he's Taurus through and through. Stubborn bull, gonna do it. So I didn't realize it was the winter solstice when I did this, but my mother had died on the summer solstice. But on the winter solstice, my dad was declining, and so I held his hand and I said, hey, Daddy, I said, today is your birthday. He said, it is? I said, yeah, Daddy, you're going home. You're going to go see Mommy. And he goes, I am? I said, yeah. I said, it's your birthday. And so I sang happy birthday to him, and he just beamed. He was just beaming. And then I felt my mom's presence behind my shoulder. And I'm like, hey, Mommy, you're here. And she goes, yeah, I'm here ready to take him home. And my dad opens his eyes and looks at by my shoulder, and he mouths the words, oh, so beautiful. I said, do you see Mommy? He said, yes, so beautiful. So I knew that was going to be the day. And it was really quite amazing. It was quite amazing. So, wow, anyway,
thank you for sharing. That's perfect.
Sure.
Yeah. It reminds me. There was the one thing that I wanted to talk about was a little bit of I like to review and refine my messaging, and I know that in EP 16, this last one, I mentioned about not using my spirituality as a sense of identity or a sense of value, and I just wanted to kind of share with the listeners kind of what I meant by that. And the context of that was just that what I meant by it is that I feel like I've come in with this sense of being spirit, and I said spiritual, but I meant spirit. And so what I wanted to frame was just a kind of an understanding in terms of not just astrologically, just energetically, and meaning that a lot of times as human beings, like we talked about earlier, we're operating from our intellect. And when we're operating from our intellect, we utilize certain things as ways to try to gain a sense of identity or value. Now, in a larger sense, we are everything. We are all things. And the more that I think we step into the realization of what we actually are, the less we're always attaching to things for a sense of identity or value. Meaning, there are two primary things that we tend to do as conscious beings. We either resist or we attach. And so we're always either pushing things away or we're attaching to things for safety. And so this is in everything that we do, whether it's in our thoughts and our behaviors and our reactions and so on and so forth. And so what I was just wanting to communicate with the listeners was that because I came in with this South Node or this past life energy as a Pisces, which you also have the same nodes as me, because the nodes shift they will return every 18 years. So we're about 18 years apart in our age, and you literally have the same South Node in Pisces as I do, your past life energy, if you will. Pisces being the living in the 12th house and being the astrology sign related to Neptune, being the unconscious, the collective unconscious, and spirituality, and so on and so forth. And so I guess what I wanted to just, again, to communicate and frame to the listeners is that ultimately, the alpha is that Aries energy, that father energy pushing forward, and that Pisces energy is the feminine mother returning, and the omega, and it's a circle. It's a circle of life. And ultimately, you and I actually both have Neptune, the planet that is aligned with Pisces, being the planet of spirituality, in our first house. So you and I both inherently, our spirituality as our identity, our primary identity is spirit itself. And so I just kind of wanted to give context to that, because I don't know if it was fully explained that the goal, at least from my expression in the world, I don't think there's anything wrong with human beings as part of our own individual and unique journey to attach to things for identity and for safety and for our individuality. But at the end of the day, we are all things, right? And I think that's what I just wanted to communicate in a bigger way, not just.
Yeah. I think it's all like, this is a school called Planet Earth, and we're learning about ourselves, and so we go into different classrooms. So attaching to certain things, we learn about ourselves. If we go to a football game and cheer the team on,
right,
or whatever it might be that we attach ourselves to, and we learn about ourselves through that experience. But it is all part of one. It's sort of like, it's just, all those things are just like one little chapter in a book. You need all the chapters to create the book, but but you read one chapter at a time, or one page at a time, or one word at a time, right?
Sure.
To make sense of things. So it's really, I love what you said. And also I wanted to add something to that, if it's okay.
Please.
Yeah, I just, one of the things that I think is really important for people to understand, that spirituality is not a competition.
Correct. That's kind of what I've missed, but I wanted to share. Yes, continue, please.
Yeah, it's not a competition, and this is not about being better than. When you call yourself a mystic, it's not like, ooh, I'm all that in a bag of chips, Right. It's not about that at all. It's just the journey, and it's just the excitement and the enthusiasm of being able to share that with the world and say, oh my God, you really got to come here and see this. This is amazing, but I can't do it for you. I can't, right. I can encourage you, but I can't do it for you. But good Lord, if you've ever had an out-of-body experience, they're just so amazing. The colors are so bright, I've had a near-death experience that was just phenomenal, It's just, you can't, it's not, there's nothing you can look around in this world and say, oh, it's like that. You just can't. It's a whole other experience of self. And the only way to get there is by really doing the work and going inside and all of that. But it's not a competition. There aren't, and I see a lot of that in the work that I do with mediums and things like that. It just seems like there's so much competition. I don't know why we all don't just band together with all of the stuff that we're doing and demonstrate to the world what's possible for them. It's not about me, but it's not about Dr. Peebles. It's a demonstration of what is possible for the person who's listening and watching that. Like, you can do this too. I am within you. You are within me. We're as one. It's that same thing again. And and for people to just know that to find spirit, to find God, if you can remember that they are always reaching out to us, in an embrace. But to complete that embrace, you have to reach out to them. So how do you do that? With love, a yearning. Like if you've ever wanted a relationship and you're like yearning for someone, it's that feeling of like, I want this so much, and I'm looking for that special someone. And then your energy, that energy builds around it, and it brings them into your life, and suddenly you're holding that person that you were actually thinking of. And it's the same with spirit. And once it happens, when you make that connection, again, it is as tangible as anything else in your life. You'll know it beyond a shadow of a doubt, and no one can take it from you, ever. It's just not possible. Yeah.
Absolutely.
It's not a figment of your imagination. It's not a hallucination. It is reality.
Absolutely, yeah, and I think that a lot of people are seeking in a space of seeking that deeper connection. Using microdosing and hallucinogens have been something that is becoming more integrated into popular culture, and I can just tell you that the most powerful hallucinogen is truly your curiosity, is your love, is your surrender, is your commitment to God, and truth, and because ultimately I opened to all of the most profound natural drugs and hallucinogens within my own consciousness, and spent years and years and years in an altered state of consciousness. And so, thank you for kind of like giving more clarity to what I was trying to communicate, which is, and you could see it in my first 2010 session. I was still in a space of intellectual spirituality, meaning I was still seeking outside of myself for a deeper sense of understanding and identity. And it was through that desire, that knocking, that the door did open. And through that opening, I was able to understand things that, yes, spirit is tangible and maybe abstract to people who are living in the scientific mind, but for folks who have knocked repeatedly, the door will open, and when it opens, you will have no doubt.
Yeah, absolutely. And to add to that, as always, we seem to do well bouncing off of each other. It's fun.
Yes.
The hallucinogens and things like that. I never did drugs, but I grew up around people who did a lot of drugs because it was in the 60s, and my parents were involved in the music industry and things like that. And I saw a lot of things that, at a very young age. My parents they were very clear about it. My parents didn't do drugs, but they said, they explained things to us, and there were people who were on LSD, and, and I was little. I was like 4 or 5 years old, and I'm having conversations who are high, and they're looking at me like, and I'm thinking, yeah, that makes sense to me. And what they were experiencing, and they were like, huh? You understand this? I said, yeah. And I'm like, it just didn't seem foreign to me at all. Mm-hmm. So, so I have no judgment about anybody doing any drugs. But the one thing that I wanted to share is that my mother taught me a really amazing lesson back in 1981. Mm-hmm. I was in Ohio, and I was from LA, but I was in Ohio after my first divorce, and I was in a state of great anxiety. I was having anxiety attacks. I didn't know what those were, but I was having them, and it was horrible. And so I went to the doctor, and the doctor prescribed some. They used to just call it tranquilizers. They didn't have a name. They didn't say Quaaludes. Tranquilizers. So I had this thing, and I was like terrified. I thought, no, I don't want to get addicted to anything. I don't want to take a drug. And I called my mom, and I said, I don't know what to do. And he gave me these tranquilizers. She goes, Summy, take one. But she said, then go do something wonderful. She said, because you are going to have the most blissful, amazing experience. She said, immerse yourself in it, and then remember it, and try to bring yourself back to that place. When you feel it, you'll know it, and bring yourself back to that feeling. And I thought, oh, okay, so I did that. I went for a drive out in Ohio in the countryside, and oh my God, the colors and everything. It was blissful. It would have been real tempting to take another one, but I listened to what my mom said, and I kept those with me for 10 years. She said, keep them with you. If you need one, take it. So I did, and I had them with me for like 10 years, and finally I went, I guess I don't need these anymore. Yeah. So I would just say, try to bring yourself back to that place. Go have the experience. Try to see if you can bring yourself back to that place. Make it a part of your life so that it's not something that you do in between work and dinner.
Right.
it's
right.
like, yeah.
Yeah, well, and the conversation that the listeners are going to hear, and you're obviously going to watch once I put all this production together, is Dr. Peebles reminded me on the recent conversation that I didn't need to ground this personality, because I told him I've spent all these years grounding this consciousness back into my personality. He says, you don't need to ground anything. You can be there. You can stay there. And basically, I can stay there in spirit. I don't need to, because, the world teaches you, you got to be here and you got to be, well, and part of that too is because working in the mainstream and knowing there's certain tangible things that you have to accomplish. There's a certain focus that is required to kind of live in this world. But part of what I am cultivating is the life of an artist, so that I can wake up inspired and do and be live on my own terms, and kind of create a lifestyle where I can live on a whim in terms of whatever I'm feeling, I can just follow. And so he's right in the sense that, that's really the kind of life that I'm creating. But I think in a larger way, he was just trying to remind me that, don't be so stuck in your head about it, son. You know what I mean? And then also he was telling me, I asked him more about the extraterrestrials, because in the conversation in 2010, he was giving me some of my backstory in terms of coming from the Pleiadian star system and then working with a handful of enlightened races. And then I asked him about more information on that, and he was like, you need to focus on your path here, because you might get off in a whim and go down the rabbit hole. And he said, if you're interested in learning more about some of those experiences in the past, you can do that on your own, which is kind of what you're saying. He's very, he's working with his band of angels, and they realize that there's a certain responsibility with that, operating on a higher perspective of being able to see the intricacies of not just evolution, not for the individual, but for all of humanity and all of the universe. That comes with a certain level of responsibility. Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, it really does. They won't tell you anything before it's time. They don't want to disrupt your path. If they told you what was around the corner all the time, we might not do the work that we need to do in order to get there. And so it's really, really cool. And I just want to say, I've known you for a long time, Michael, and I've watched your evolution, and you have truly you're just an amazing inspiration as a human, as a person. You're so kind, you're so real. Whatever, everybody just please know that what you see is what you get with Michael. There's no shades of gray. He's very authentic, and he tells it like it is, and always from the heart. And also is extremely creative. I've watched your creativity come to life, and you're making shirts and things like that. Is that right? Shirts and shoes and all kinds of stuff, right?
Well, ultimately, that'll be the long term. Right now, I'm going to be releasing the collection of astrology hats. So we're going to go through all 12 astrology hats, and then I'll move towards the development of T-shirts, hoodies, and then my own shoe line. So that's kind of my goal, is to really create and Dr. Peebles touches on this in our call as well, and kind of talks about really my long term kind of my vision in terms of what how I'd like to produce items. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, and I just had to say that because I know you won't promote yourself, so I wanted to promote you because you're so wonderful, and it's just great stuff. So if you're going to get anything like a hat or anything like that, it's going to have really good vibes in it. And I know that because I used to sell something called the Inner Self Manifestation Bowl, and we used to bless them all before they left our building, and they just did beautifully. So it's a lovely thing. So I just wanted to give you a plug.
I appreciate that. Yeah, they're working on my website now, and so I should have my Aquarius hat available here in the next 2 or 3 months. And cool. And you're right. When I did my first clothing brand, 2017, I called it LIP, Love, Inspiration, Patience, Urban Apparel, and I made 2 designs called Rebel Up and Angel Love. And when I sent those hats and T-shirt samples to my buddy Austin Rockney in Seattle, he said he had this little light that he used. He said when he turned the light off, and the only thing that was glowing in the room were my hat and my T-shirt.
Wow! Oh, that's
literally
so
the energy of love that was inside those designs were profound, and that's really my desire, is to really affect the world on a fundamental frequency level.
That's so awesome. I just love that. I love that so much. Yeah.
And I love you so much.
Thank you. I love you too. And that's like putting love into the equation with everything that you do. It's just, it works. It really does. And it's an energy, and you can imbue it in anything and everything. The conversation we're having, and the clothing, and all that. Your coffee, thank you.
Yes, thank you. I have one more cup waiting for me right now. Well, we're recording this on a beautiful Sunday, and I'll put together this in conjunction with the 2025 Conversation with the Spirit, Dr. Peebles, and EP17, and I think everybody is absolutely going to love this two-part series, and I thank you for giving me that feedback. And the last thing that I really wanted to say was I was really blown away by your excitement, and really what I wanted to tell you, and I did tell you on that, was like when you were on my podcast the first time, and I couldn't help but giving letting you know how much your work affected me and my journey in my life, and now my relationship with you and with Dr. Peebles, through the sessions that you guys are doing, at least once a month, if not every few weeks sometimes. And it's just like having a friend, it's having a true friendship in this life, and how much your work has affected so many people over the years. And how much, you maybe have not fully realized that. And I hope that through me sharing your work in conjunction with my work, that there can be even a greater realization in you for how profound you are, how beautiful you are, how unique you are, how much of a gift you are to the world. And how much your work continues to grow in importance, because that is what we are bringing to the masses right now. We are in a time on earth where spirituality is going to become practical, is going to become mainstream, is going to become there's going to be a greater realization on a mass level of what we truly are as love in unison with each other. And you and I are doing the same work, just in our own unique and different ways. And so, I want to be that mirror to let you know how much of an effect you've had on so many people, not just me.
Thank you so much. Yeah, that's been amazing it's been amazing. Just, I can't wait to hear the second part of this, but to actually hear the private session, it was so extraordinary, because it's like for 31 years I've been making widgets or something that I don't even know what the result of it is. All I know is it works and people keep coming back, So it's like I really haven't known what the work is, how it's affected people. So this has been really amazing. So thank you for the glimpse into what I've been doing for almost 31 years.
Thank
it's
you.
Really cool. Super
Thank
cool.
you so much. You. And I look forward to our continued friendship. And again, I thank you for who you are.
Thank you, Michael.
I love you.
I love you too.
Okay, everybody. Until next time, my friends. Stay thirsty for life. I love you. Bye. Oh, also, enjoy the conversation with the Spirit, Dr. Peebles. Bye.
Hi, this is Summer Bacon, and your session will begin shortly. The interaction between you and Dr. Peebles today is a spiritual adventure, and I do hope that you enjoy it. The following disclaimer is intended to clarify a few points about the intended purpose of the guidance you may receive from Dr. Peebles. Dr. Peebles will answer questions on a variety of subjects, including health. He was a medical doctor, naturopath, and Civil War surgeon during his life on Earth. But he obviously cannot be considered a licensed physician from the other side. So please understand that any healing suggestions that he makes are from a spiritual perspective, and they're in no way intended to replace the recommendations, advice, guidance, and prescriptions offered by your medical providers. The way in which the information is received and applied in your life is, of course, your sole responsibility. Thank you so much. Have a great day, and I hope you enjoyed the journey with Dr. Peebles. Bye.
All right, I love you.
I love you too. God bless you, Dr. Peebles here. It is a joy and a blessing when man and spirit join together in search of the greater truths and awareness. God bless you indeed, my dear Michael. You are a beautiful spirit. My goodness gracious, you are really moving in the right direction with everything that you're doing right now, my dear friend. Everything is spot on. We just want to make that very clear because you have sometimes sunk into doubt and fears and expectations and other things, but the reality is you're really looking at life very clearly, and you really are is centered within your heart. And that is where you're moving from now. And sometimes that can be scary. It can be difficult too, because it's very challenging at times to move with your heart when you don't really know what's around the corner. But that's the big part of existence that is so much fun, is discovering what's around the corner and also learning about the very fact that your heart is in the right place, that you do have the ideas and the possibilities that are endless inside of you that you are seeking right now. God bless you indeed. And that, my dear friend, is the tip of the iceberg. But would you understand, and would you have questions or comments? God bless you indeed.
Well, thank you, dear friend. It's been a journey since I met you, obviously 15 years ago in summer.
Yeah.
And a very intense experience. Obviously, we talked briefly when you guys were on the podcast about the intensity, a little bit of that experience. But yeah, I do. I put together a list of questions here over the last few days. And I guess we could start off with just my curiosity around that awakening experience and the intensity of it. And was that kind of a normal experience for like folks opening to spirit, taking so long to like feel like I'm grounding back into a normal human personality, or was that tremendous contrast really necessary for the teaching frameworks? Like, what's the context around why it felt so profound? Yeah,
well, because that's what it is. It's not like anything else that you can experience. It's certainly not a walk in the park, is it? It's not like nothing else you've ever experienced, and you carry that with you. But we don't, as far as we are concerned, the grounding part of it is not really necessary. Even you can just stay in that place. Don't fight it. Don't fight what has happened to you. It's a natural progression of your spirit, and your spirit wants to grow. It wants to expand, and that sort of thing. And that's what it felt like. But it was for you very different than for many others. Yours was rather explosive and rapid. It was so sudden that it took you quite by surprise, and we understand that is a bit disconcerting in some ways, but it's also a beautiful thing because it really made it very clear, because you sometimes just really need absolutes with things, that it really was an awakening, and there was no question about it, no doubt about it and such. God bless you indeed. Do you understand?
Yeah, because time felt like it disappeared, and then I understood that the spiritual nature, the nature of reality was timeless, and then so it was like the spirit was moving through me like a conduit for God, and then I was wondering when the altered state, when I would like feel normal, like feel like, you know what I mean? And so it was like such a progression of just, it felt like integration and blockages and pain and just suffering, and just it really gave me a deep understanding for what human beings are experiencing on a subconscious level. It's like I made that all conscious,
Yes, you did. And it's also, my dear friend, all of those things that you experienced were without judgment for the first time. It was you were just experiencing it and watching it, a rather objective observer, and feeling it, yes, but in a different way than you would have had you had no awareness of the fact that you were awakening and having a spiritual experience. It could have crushed you, and that's sort of the thing that can happen when the Kundalini rises too quickly and such. It's disorienting and all the rest. But fortunately, you had a little bit of a foundation already in place, and a desire to have the awakening that you had. So you see, and so it's sort of one of those things, be careful what you wish for, yeah? God bless you indeed, we do wink, wink, yeah? And yeah, so it's a remarkable thing, because what it has done for you is because of the tremendous contrasts of the spiritual awakening, and it has created a deeper desire for you to get immersed in life. And so this is what has brought you into a place where you are working with the tangible things, tactile things, wanting to get out there and make money and sell things and such. But it's for a different reason than it was in the past. You at one time wanted to be very wealthy. because you thought that would bring you wine, women, and song and all the rest. But now you're more into the fact that you want to help people. You want to make people feel good and alive. And so the way that you're approaching entrepreneurship is through a desire to really help community and get good energy out there in the world. So you're using it very wisely now, you see. Do you understand?
Yeah, well, correctly. It's a creative expression of the spirit and a desire to put energy out into the collective consciousness that helps move the social consciousness in a place of more like personal integration, healing, love, truth.
Yes. Yes.
So just working together, and so absolutely, it's like a function of spirit. Trying to put out these seeds, if you will, for what's to come on Earth,
Yes, absolutely. There's no question about it. And also the very fact that you started to take life much more seriously in terms of relationships and what you really want, the foundation from which you want to grow and that sort of thing, because you didn't want to just fall into the trap of superficiality ever again. And that was something that did trap you for a while, and you didn't like that, and you wanted to feel alive. And so you are looking at life in a much different fashion than you did in the past. You have less expectations on life, and you are surrendering into relationships and situations that feel right to you, rather than trying to force it to fit. Do you understand this?
Correct. Yeah, it's no more intellectualization and rationalization, but more just about being with what is.
Yes,
and
exactly.
Giving myself the freedom to experience that emotionality, that passion, that whatever that feeling is, and not judging it.
Yes, correct. Yes, you're absolutely correct in that. Yes, it's quite beautiful. So that's why we said at the outset, everything is on point, shall we say, in your life. And strive not to doubt yourself. Stay with your heart. Stay moving forward with that. And God bless you. Indeed, you will find that there will be a point where you can't fail. Failure has been a very frightening thing for you in life, and you've been very hard.
I am very insecure in a lot of ways.
Yes, very much so. And that's something that you want to conquer in this lifetime. You don't want to feel that way anymore. And you want to feel that it's all right for you to have the things that you want, and to be wealthy if you want to be wealthy, and that's all right. It doesn't matter. It's not taking, shall we say, for yourself. It's not taking away from anybody else. You're just admitting that you want certain things in your life. You want it a certain way, and you've been very hard on yourself in the past because you haven't attained certain goals and things like that, and thought that you were a failure. You have not been a failure in any way, shape, or form. You have been a growing, learning student of this school called Planet Earth. But so you're going to find that over the months and years ahead, you'll be less and less harsh with yourself, and you'll start to be more gentle with yourself, which is what we really like to see here. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. And at the end of the day, if anything, I could, that I want to show, to be a mirror for others, is that we can create a quality of life that's in alignment with who we are, and then that abundance becomes a reflection of the abundance of spirit or the quality.
Yes, and you do that by demonstration, not by telling people how to do it, by doing it yourself. And then when people say, "How did you do that?" then you can tell them all about yourself, and that's the demonstration to others as to what's possible in life, and quite beautiful, really. You'll enjoy that, and realize, because sometimes you don't like the attention on yourself. You like it on everybody else, but not necessarily on you. And now you're going to have more on you. How you like them apples, yeah?
Right. Yeah. Well, I've been eating the apple for a while, so I've been preparing.
Yeah. That's wonderful. God bless you indeed. Yes.
Correct.
Yeah.
Awesome. So I have a few things around health that have been occurred over the last few years, and I was just curious if it's any, maybe the origins of that. The first was that I got into this thing at work a few years ago, because you always used to tell, when we first had our first conversation, to sometimes, take those deep breaths and let that life force into you. So every once in a while, I'd hold my breath real deep, at work or when I'm walking back to the office. And so a couple years ago, I held my breath, and all of a sudden I was walking up the stairs, and I completely passed out and did a somersault down 15 feet, 20 feet of stairs, and, woke, came down at the bottom. Nothing happened to me. And then, I was asking kind of my guides, like, why I did, what's going on with this energy? This was the end of the year before last. And they said, oh, you're protected. And then later they told me not to do it because I can literally hold my breath like and get this like euphoric feeling and then pass out really easily.
Yeah. Don't hold your breath. Breathe deeply, but not holding your breath. You certainly can hyperventilate doing that sort of thing. But cascading down the stairway, that's wonderful. Really, ultimately, it's you took the big tumble that you've oftentimes wondered if you would survive it, and you did. You see, it's rather interesting, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, well, it's quite interesting that we're always being held by life, but I just thought it was interesting that maybe the sensitivity or the ability for my body to be able to react this way, maybe it's just more related to the energetics of where I'm currently at.
Absolutely, yes. And then when you passed out, of course, you fell into a state of surrender, and you weren't fighting it because you weren't aware of it. So that's why you survived it. It's the best thing that anyone can do if they're falling from the sky or something like that, is to relax and not be afraid, because then you become like rubber and you bounce. Yeah.
Right. Oh, I get it. I understand. So the metaphor for that surrender, and then me go ahead, leaving my apartment, leaving my job, and moving to LA for that short period of time, was kind of, that whole experience was kind of a symbolism for just moving into the next stage of my life.
Yes, it really was. It really was total surrender, and quite vulnerable too. Yeah. And it taught you don't hold your breath. You see. Yeah. Yeah, God bless you indeed. Yeah.
Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Yeah. And then also that after the COVID there's this like sense of like hypertension as well. It was kind of a strange thing. I got my heart checked. There was nothing there. And then, I moved to LA and, didn't have a job for a while, was working on my creative projects, and then came back to Stockton where I've been my whole life, where my family, my kids are. And, about this time last year, and I've noticed slowly but surely that feeling that whatever that was is it's gone away. So I wonder if that was just some kind of an energetic period. It wasn't necessarily related to like long COVID or anything like that. It was just more of me having to maybe balance out maybe this kind of energetic transition that I'm moving through or something. I'm not really sure.
Yeah, well, very much so. Yes. You were in a very vulnerable position there in Los Angeles because of the fact that you were feeling the anxiety and the pains and sorrows of people all around you, and that's your empathic nature. You have a tendency to feel the life around you, and it was not necessarily the happiest place on earth. Yeah, God bless you indeed. Yeah. So it's so that's just and moving away from there was good, but it was necessary. It was a very, very good thing that you were there. It once again it also helped you to tap into more and more of your sensitivity and such, and it really gave you a chance to pause and to say, what is it that I really want here? And Los Angeles is rather. Symbolic, shall we say, of an old way of being that you've lived in your life, which was to be more, shall we say, materialistic and that sort of thing. And you realize, well, I don't want materialism, but I like material things. I want money, but I don't want it the way that people are having it around here. And you were able to see a lot of people who were a reflection of the way that you used to be and don't want to be anymore. Does that make sense to you, my dear friend?
Yes, absolutely. Yes,
Yeah.
It's about having only what you need, love, and deeply value, and it's not about living from the outside in, but the inside out.
Absolutely, and that's what you did, and you restructured yourself in that process, and you realized what mattered to you is your children and family and lifestyle that you're familiar with, and it's quite beautiful that you returned to Stockton. We were not even expecting that, my dear friend. Because
yeah, it was pretty funny.
Yeah, you have a bit of because you can be a bit of a wayward character, which is wonderful, and you love the exploration of life and such, but having a stable home base is really going to be a great foundation for you. Because from there you can always move about the world, but a stable home base that is familiar to you is really important now. You like familiarity, you like comfort, you like known factors, and it's good for you to have that now. You haven't really ever given yourself that sort of gift before, yeah?
Yeah, I agree. This apartment that I'm in right now feels more like home than any place that I've ever been in this life, and it's probably more about the way that I'm feeling inside of myself.
Yes, absolutely, yes. Well, no question about it, yeah. Yeah, it's really rather beautiful. It really is, my dear friend. You're doing a wonderful job there, yeah?
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, so considering I may end up sharing this podcast at some point publicly, I'm going to ask about somebody, but I won't give her name just to keep it more of a privacy thing. But
Yes.
there was a girl that I met in 2013 that had a really big impact on my life. And I was just curious if we had any karma in the past, or do we have a relationship in terms of a larger identity, or from the lady's family, or, just kind of curious about her and about my relationship to her, and how that whole catalyst experience and everything, if you can give any insight on that.
Yeah, we can, just to a certain degree, because in respect of her and honoring of her need for privacy and that sort of thing. But it really was quite a dance, wasn't it? Yeah, and it could be so very beautiful, and then you're stepping on each other's toes all the time. Yeah, and so you were. It was a sort of a push me pull you sort of situation where you were wanting to be together, one of you moving closer and the other pulling away, and vice versa. So it was this sort of thing where you were just really striving to fall in love, but you couldn't quite do it yet. Do you understand this?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it taught you that you didn't like that feeling of pulling away, that you didn't like that feeling of not surrendering into the relationship. And so you both learned from each other. Was it from karma? No, it was no. There was no karma there. Was it? Did you know each other in a past life? No, but you did briefly brush shoulders. It wasn't as if you knew each other deeply, but you brushed shoulders in a previous lifetime, literally on the street, turned and looked at each other. At one moment thinking, well, how dare you bump into me like that? And then the next going, my goodness, you're absolutely gorgeous. I'm falling in love with you. And then you both walked away. So you never finished that. But it's the same sort of sensation that you had in this relationship in this lifetime, you see. Sort of bumping into each other and going, how dare you? And then, oh, but you're so gorgeous. I love you. And sort of this conflicting emotions inside of both of you about each other. Do you understand this?
Yeah. Well, I could feel how she felt inside of my body, and I never felt anybody like that before, and it didn't make any sense.
Yes, absolutely, and it was really just helping you to get clear about where you want to live in yourself, within yourself, in terms of emotions. What does falling in love really feel like? What does that sensation really, what is it really? And you're discovering more and more it's not about sexuality. That's a part of loving someone, yes. An expression of it, yes. But falling in love is a whole different thing. It's where that person that you are with really touches something inside of you. You're falling in love with parts of yourself is what really happens in that. It's the person is giving to you certain information that says, here's something inside of you that's awakening to this awareness that you are in love, and feeling in love with someone is feeling in love with yourself. Really, ultimately, it's all about the sensation because it's happening inside of you, not outside of you. God bless you, indeed. Do you understand?
Yeah, I understand.
Yeah. So it's beautiful, really, and so treasure the experience of that relationship. It's beautiful, and it was very wonderful because it was a catalyst for you in many ways to grow by leaps and bounds into a greater awareness of yourself and what you really, really want. And it also helped you to say, I don't want to compromise, and that's wonderful, yeah. And because yeah.
Go ahead.
You go ahead, my dear friend. Yes.
No, I agree with you. It was an awakening to the type of love that I want to feel, and obviously, being alone for the last 12 years now, I realized, that relationship. It was all about me having that relationship with myself and being able to understand.
Yes, my dear friend. Pardon, but sometimes you are sounding a little muffled to us. Is there something with your telephone that you can alter there?
Yeah, does that sound better?
That's better, yes, very much so, yes. We lost a few of your words, but we understand the gist of what you were saying there, yeah?
I'm sorry,
That's all right.
It reminded me It reminded me that I had to love myself enough, and being alone for 12 years, it taught me that ultimately the experience and the connection with her was a catalyst for me learning about the feminine energy that I've been not allowing myself to live in.
Yes.
And so I really have a tremendous appreciation for the feminine energy, not just within, women on earth, but understanding that the Holy Spirit, the Divine Mother, just the energy of what we are as God, as love, as truth, really comes from that place of feeling,
Yes, it's a perfect marriage between the divine feminine and divine male, really. And and they're almost indistinguishable. Once you understand both sides of the equation, you realize that they are married together. That you can't separate the two. And once you find that within yourself, whether you are male or female or what upon the earth, you will find that there is this beautiful balance of expression through your physical form that is unlike anything else. And the love that you feel for one person is really something that you can feel for many. On a grand scale, there might be one particular special person that you want to be with all the time, etc. But you will also be able to express love to others as well, just simply through actions, whether it means being kind to somebody in a grocery store or letting somebody in front of you when you're driving and that sort of thing, and feeling less angst, less desire to change people and that sort of thing. And that's one way to love people, is to stop trying to change everybody and just simply acknowledge them for who they are. They're just growing like you are. So it's a beautiful experience that you're having here, and this awakening is continuing for you, and evening out, shall we say, that the awakening that we discussed at the very beginning. Yeah, God bless you indeed.
Correct. Yeah, it feels like I'm allowed to, not just live from like my intellect, but live from my spirit, and then there's a merging of. There's a merging that has allowed me to move into a space where I can be fully human and not judge it,
Yes, absolutely. No question about it. Yeah. It's and you see, isn't that lovely to finally fall in love with the human experience?
Yeah, it is, because that's where heaven and earth, that's the whole theory, that's the whole symbology of heaven and earth. When you open up to heaven inside your body, and then you bring that the wholeness of what we actually are into the human experience. Yeah,
exactly right. Yes, it's really rather beautiful. It really is, my dear friend. It's a fascinating study. Once you fall in love with that process, you realize there's no there to get to, and you start to really enjoy the journey. And that's what you're involved in right now. That's where you are heading with your life, is just to be here and now, and then here and now again, you see. And, yeah.
Correct. Yes. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
So is there anything more about me from a larger perspective that you could reveal now and that you couldn't in 2010? I mean, I know that you're very strategic in revealing certain things and not certain things, just for the sake of free will and the growth process. So I'm very conscious of that, and I understand the strategy and whatever is behind that. I know it's appropriate and necessary. But is there anything that you could share with me beyond what you couldn't then?
Yes, why not? We can do that for fun. Yeah, God bless you indeed. Yeah, all right.
I like fun.
Yes, absolutely. One of the things that we would share with you that we would not have shared with you back then is that it's all right for you to be a little bit more aggressive about getting what you want in life. And we don't. And if we had said that back in 2010, you would have gone aggressively and started taking what you wanted from life. And now you understand it in a different way. It means really saying it's okay for me to have it. And I'm going to go for what I really want, which now is going to be more love-based than anything. It's not going to be about materialism, though it may manifest as such in terms of material things. It may manifest as the perfect relationship for you, beyond your wildest dreams and imaginations. You're not going to hold back anymore and shall we say, sacrifice parts of yourself in order to at least have some company in your life, etc., and then feel less than satisfied. You see, you want someone you can really dance with and really play with and really love and really enjoy and have the laughter and the luxury of being yourself without ever having to change yourself again for anybody, for any reason, unless you want to do it, you see. So this would have been a whole different ball game if we had said that back in 2010. My goodness gracious, you would have gone astray in many ways from your heart. But now you understand it in a whole different way. And aggression is not about being someone who's fighting. You can aggressively love life, and you can aggressively love God, but it does not mean aggression. It is a whole different expression of self that is joyfully dancing and saying, yes, I embrace life. I love it. I want the things that I want in my life because it feels so good and so wonderful, you see. And but not in the way that you're going to force people to fit you. No way. You're not going to try to make things happen. You're not going to steal from people to have the things that you want, and you're not going to lie and cheat to attain anything either, you see. This is a whole different sort of it's a beautiful aggression. It's the kind that drives the Olympic athlete, you see. I'm going to make it to that finish line before anybody else because I love to do that. It's so much fun to push myself, yeah? Do you understand this, yeah? So you're aggressively loving life now. How do you like them apples, yeah?
Yeah, I like them. Thank you. And I think, creating kind of a foundation for your character and certain virtues and certain ethics and ways that you want to go about approaching life. In a lot of ways, I see that as kind of like a masculine refinement, and then going through a place of really opening myself emotionally to spirit and to God and to love. That's kind of, to me, I see it more as the feminine dynamic. And then I feel like, yes, you're right. Now I'm moving into a space of true empowerment. And that can sometimes be pretty strong and pretty intense and feel pretty aggressive to people that I'm working with, whether it's business, whether it's workplace, whether it's personal.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's just a reflection of me allowing my whole self to operate for the first time in my life.
Yes, 100%. That's very beautifully expressed, really, my dear friend, because you're in alignment with yourself. And that can be very scary to people because you know what you know and you know that you know it, you see. Most people don't. Most people are guessing at it, trying to fix things from the outside in, trying to manipulate, trying to do anything they can to make life comply with what they desire. Your understanding is from the inside out. And you say, well, I know what I know, and I know what I want here, and I'm not making excuses for it. I'm not embarrassed or ashamed about it. It's just what I want, and I see things accurately. Like, for example, you meet people now, and you go, well, I can feel immediately in my heart that person is not in integrity. As much as they want to smile and laugh and look at me and pretend they are not. And you already have that deep inner knowing of individuals. You can size them up, so to speak. And it's not a judgment. It's just simply saying, well, perhaps I don't want to dance with that person right now because it'll be a waste of my time because they're not in integrity here. And I want to live life in integrity, and I want to be in integrity with others and have those sort of individuals around me. So supporting me in my journey, yeah? God bless you indeed.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes. And I'm absolutely seeing that mostly in trying to learn how to be a fashion designer and build a business, and realizing that those relationships are so important, because if we're not in alignment in terms of the behavior and the intent, then it becomes really sloppy. So I'm trying to utilize my resources that are currently limited and trying to align with people that can help me fulfill my goals. And I'm understanding as I continue, it seems like I'm taking the long route a little bit. It's because I'm not seeing, I've yet to, find people that I necessarily that are in alignment with what, with the ways that I prefer to do business.
Well, yes, and what we'd suggest to you, dear Michael, is that you would consider yourself to be an artisan. And when you think about that, it takes time to create something really magnificent and really beautiful. You don't want shoddy work. You don't want to just throw a bunch of stuff out there and make some money off of it and disappear on your yacht. You want things that are going to go out there and be lasting. You want people to love it and say, my goodness gracious, this is so fine, so well made. It's lasting me a lifetime. I'm going to pass it on to my children. That's the sort of thing that you want to do. You're not out to create shoddy work. You're an artisan, and think of yourself in that respect as you go forward, yeah?
Thank you. Yes, very much. I feel that way. I'm here to create art, not to create consumerism. So
yes, correct. Yes. Absolutely. Yeah, 100%, yes. God bless you indeed. You're very welcome, yes.
So yeah, I guess the final parts of this questions are more related to like fun topics. Like you had shared with me about my relationships with other enlightened races. Would you have any historical names of some of those races that I have relationships with, or anything related to my experience in the Pleiades star system and how they operate there? Or is there anything just on that level of just curiosity that you could share?
No, we can't, because we don't want you to get sidetracked. That would be something, that'd be a dangled carrot for you to chase after.
Smart. I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know how curious I am.
Yes, very much so. If you want to, you can do it yourself. And this would be a nice way for you to trust your intuition. You can ask for somebody to come to you and to share with you who you are and who you know and that sort of thing. But if we do it, then it's just going to be, it would throw you off center. It really would, my dear friend. But you can do it as part of your spiritual exploration if you would like, yeah? And then the reality is, if you want really, here's the answer to the question for everybody who would ever listen to this conversation would be, well, you're connected to everything and everybody in every star system and everything in the universe. You're not separate from anyone or anything. So you are with all races, yeah? How do you like them apples, yeah?
Yes, I agree with you, and I think that's beautifully put, and yes, I definitely need to stay on course. I think that's another exploration, another time to
yes.
To bring forth some of that, and
yes, absolutely.
in different artistic ways as well, and
yes.
as you know, the humans are really, really curious right now about extraterrestrials, and so.
Well, and part of your inspiration as the artisan that you are will come from that, you see. You're going to find that some of your creations, you'll say, well, this must have come from a different star system or something like that. We can share that part of it, yeah?
Right.
Because
I agree with you.
Get your inspiration.
I'm definitely going to express those identities within the context of what I know.
Yes, absolutely. There's no question about it. You're already doing that to a degree. You get your inspiration. It's magnificent to watch. It's like it really is like an explosion inside of you. It just happens. You see it all at once, and that's that. Yeah.
Yeah, believe me, I'm putting together 12 years of notes and starting to write this book, and I see I've been collecting a lot of information.
Yes, you have. There's no question about it. Yes.
Yeah.
It's wonderful.
So
it's a good process
that's wonderful.
for you.
Thank you.
Yeah, you'll write the book for yourself, and everybody's going to love it. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the same thing I do with the clothing. I design it for myself. I'm only going to do what excites me. And
yes.
Then a byproduct of that personal excitement will be the sharing with others.
Absolutely. It's just like cooking a great meal. Putting the love into it makes all the difference in the world for the simplest sandwich, yeah?
Absolutely. Yeah, that's wonderful. Thank you.
You're very welcome, yeah.
Yeah. I do have a curiosity, and I think I know this answer, but maybe for listeners, they may enjoy this as well. I'm sure there's going to be a time in the future of, say, human evolution where we actually have some remembrance of past lives while we're in a body. And I know some humans do actually have that remembrance of past lifetimes. But would it be a true statement that the reason that we come in as a kind of a blank slate is so that we can focus on our current lessons?
Well, it can be that. It's different for every person upon the earth. Some people come in with an awareness of past lives because they have things they need to explore and karma that they want to clean up. And sometimes they come in with an awareness of past lives as almost like a crutch. And it can really hold them back in their personal growth because they want to remember who they were in a past life. If they were an emperor or something like that, oh goodness, look who I was, and I'll never be that again, and such. And they dwell upon those moments and things such as this. Not everybody comes in as a blank slate, not at all. Each of you truly, you pack your bags with certain things that you think you're going to need in this particular lifetime. Parts of self, in other words, that you're bringing in terms of, well, I believe I would like to be a concert pianist. And so perhaps you're even saying, well, perhaps I'd like to be a child prodigy. So you're practicing your concert pianist skills on the other side, and then you bring them incarnate with them immediately so that you can have that experience of, let's say, I want to feel like I'm more special than anybody else in the world. And you live that life as the child prodigy, and suddenly you realize that you're not necessarily more special special than anyone. You're just another someone, and that you have a particular special skill, but that's not necessarily what life is all about. It has much more to do with the communication skills and the love that you are giving and receiving and the abundance of in this lifetime. So there are many different ways in which people start their journeys in life. Some do come in with a blank slate. Some decide to be born and say, I don't need guides with me. I can do this myself. And those are the ones who don't last. A lot of times they leave the body very young, because everybody needs at least one guide to guide them through life, someone that they can work with, because you've got to have someone to bounce things off of, or else you really can't grow. You need the contrast. You need the information. You need to be given a lot of things here. It's really quite remarkable. So on and on we could go with that, but it's a very good question. It really is. God bless you indeed. And does that help, my dear friend?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. And I agree with you that some folks will decide to specialize in their development in a certain way, so that when they are on Earth, it seems so profoundly more than other people, and we know that human beings inherently love to idolize folks, and and that's fine and dandy. That's part of the experience, but ultimately it's about seeing the magnificence within ourselves, and absolutely, we all bring in our history. We all bring in certain aspects in order to fulfill whatever our intent and purpose is in the specific life.
Yes, exactly right. Yes, and in understanding that, it would help you become less judgmental about each other. For example, you might see somebody who's not really working very hard and not really wanting to aspire to anything, and they find themselves homeless and on the street. Well, that's true. But if you knew their backstory, if you knew why they came in to do that, you might understand that in a previous lifetime, they were walking down the street, they had all the money in the world, they were very ambitious, and they saw a homeless person on the street and spat in their face. And then later on, when they came over here, they were guided by their guides. Did you see that moment in your lifetime? Perhaps you'd like to live a life as a homeless person, to see what it is like, to have that feeling and that sensation, to understand why they might have ended up in that position, that they're not a bad person or anything else, you see. So there's lots of reasons why people incarnate, and how they incarnate, and the lifetimes that they are living. And that is where you can finally, at long last, put down your need to judge and condemn anybody on the earth, because everybody has a backstory. Everybody has a tale to tell. They may not be aware of it consciously in this life, because they don't need to be, because they need to fulfill that promise to themselves that they will live their life in a particular way. God bless you indeed. Do you understand?
Yes, absolutely. And the magnificence of the backstory is if popular culture was begin to understand it on a mass level, there would be much more understanding for the abstract nature of reality and what life, how precious and how beautiful and how complex and unique life actually is. And it would allow us, folks to have more tools in their toolbox to be able to adapt more appropriately and be more loving and less judgmental. I agree with you.
Yes, absolutely. That's very beautifully stated, my dear friend. You absorb information quite rapidly. You really do. And it's remarkable how you can turn around and just put such eloquent words to it. It's very beautiful, my dear friend. You are very special in that respect.
Thank you. I feel like I've spent my whole life creating a framework and a language to try to help explain the nature of reality to the best of my limited ability.
Yes,
and I know it's limited, but I know that it's a passion of mine.
Absolutely, yes. And it's because you're a good listener. And when we say a good listener, it's not just with your ears, it's with your heart. It's with your eyes. It's the visions that you are seeing as we're talking. It's a remarkable sort of thing. It's a 360 degrees of listening ability.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you. And I feel like too that if people can come to understand that we're not just, our brains aren't where we exist, but our bodies, our hearts, these are all just tools for the spirit to be able to manifest itself. And so people understood that, the consciousness isn't a result of the body is a result of consciousness. Then we can begin to see that all the faculties, and where we exist is truly unlimited, and our capacity to really be with that love, that energy of just life and creation and truth that we have the capacity to see beyond our own limited frameworks, and our own sense of limitation.
Yes, absolutely, my dear friend. That's again beautifully expressed, and it is one thing in particular that we would share with everybody is take a moment to pause and ask yourself this question: do I love myself enough to let the world see, hear, and feel me, to be fully expressed in the world? Do you love yourself enough to let your ideas, perspectives be heard? Do you love yourself enough to strive to live your dreams rather than trying to live the dreams of some other who thinks you ought to live your life in a particular way? That would be so remarkable, to see human beings awaken to their heart, to who they really are, and to live life authentically, and stop trying to please everybody, and stop trying to become something for everybody else, and stop trying to think for each other. You see, it's a waste of time to think for somebody else, try to figure out what they're thinking about you thinking about them. You see, and on it goes. Instead, why not walk up to them and say, what is it that you think about me? And hopefully they will tell you honestly from their heart what they think. And you will say, all right, thank you very much for sharing and letting me know who you are. Whether they say, I don't like you or I love you, doesn't matter. You want to know now, you want absolutes, you want to move forward quickly. By all means, my dear friends, the only way it's going to happen is if you are willing to give of yourself to the world and listen for the honest echo from life around you, yeah?
Absolutely, amen. Yeah, and that's exactly the notes I was writing this morning in my book that I'm putting together, which is about that experience of 2013 when I had to make the decision to leave a 16-year relationship, a 12-year marriage, and being an everyday husband and father, which to me, it was my whole identity, and it was the thing that I loved the most. And but I knew that I had to love myself enough, and I knew that I wanted to experience the connection with the girl. I knew that there was that feeling I had never experienced before, and I knew that was the kind of life I wanted to live and the kind of connection I wanted to experience.
Yes.
And in order to actually take that walk, I had to have the courage to leave the world behind, meaning my identity to my ego, my identity to my intellectual process, my self-judgment, my people pleasing. It was the death of the people pleaser.
Yes, absolutely. And you are a better father because of it. Because you are sharing with your children who you really are. You're not just playing the role of daddy. You are really being a super wonderful gentleman and a remarkable guide and friend to your children. And we commend you for that, my dear friend.
Thank you.
You're very welcome, yeah?
Yeah, it was very tough.
Yes, it was. No question about it. But better for them to see you as you really are.
Yeah, and that's the thing, we think that a lot of people live in this place of idealism, and I can appreciate idealism to a certain extent, but the reality is, if we're always fighting for something, we're kind of missing the boat. And, but the more that we stop and surrender and really, like you say, we're not human doings, we're human beings.
Yes.
And the goal is to learn how to be with who you are and what you are and give yourself permission for all of that energy to just be. And the more that we learn how to love ourselves and to be with ourselves, then we create a space to actually serve on the highest level versus going out in the world and trying to fight every injustice, because we all know that there's plenty of injustice in the world and there's plenty of cruelty and there's plenty of selfishness. But if we create a foundation of integrity and love and truth within self, and we help plant those seeds as an expression of our uniqueness, of our individuality, then slowly but surely others learn how to embody that individuality and that authenticity, and slowly but surely the whole culture and the whole framework for society transforms from the inside out rather than the outside in.
Absolutely, 100% correct, my dear friend. And God bless you indeed, my dear friend. It's time for us to allow the Dare channel to return. Is that all right with you?
That's beautiful. Thank you so much. It was beautiful to connect with you, and I'm sure we'll speak again in the future. Thank you for
Absolutely.
everything.
God bless you indeed. Thank you so very much, my dear friend Michael, and we love you so very much. You're a beautiful spirit, and you know what to do. Go your way in peace, love, and harmony, for life is indeed a joy, and all you have to do is you enjoy the journey to your own heart, and certainly to your own enlightenment is simply lighten up just a little bit more. God bless you indeed. Hi, Michael. I'm back.
Hi. Thank you for who you are, and thank you for your service.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I'm sure we'll talk again soon.
Yeah, sounds good. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
I'll talk to you soon. I love you.
I love you too. Bye-bye.
All right.